Hi, and welcome to Section 6, Conclusion. In this section, I'm just going to offer a review of what we've learned throughout this course, take on some of the most challenging concepts, and make sure that we're all on the same page about tendering and procurement. As always, we'd like to thank Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation for their support of this course through the project Community-Led Design for Specialized Housing in the North, and to acknowledge the partnership that makes this certificate possible between Together Design Lab at Toronto Metropolitan University, Nishnawbe Aski Nation, the Faculty of Community Services at Toronto Metropolitan University, and WASA Distance Education Centre. Well, over the series of modules and 5 sections, we've gone right from the beginning of tendering and procurement through to a built process and into our evaluation of that process. You've learned terminology and approaches that should give you the tools you need to begin to undertake this process in your community and for your construction projects. We've worked right from the concept of tendering and procurement and understanding what your tendering and procurement needs are, spending a lot of time understanding the vision for the tendering and procurement process you have, but also answering important questions about the type of construction project you're undertaking, the contract you'd like to have, and your strategy for procurement. Through then to creating and issuing a series of tender documents that reflect the answers to those questions, awarding a contract to your successful bidder, and then monitoring and managing that contract, including things like conflict resolution, bringing us right to the end of a built project and contract closeout. First, I'll start with the chart that you've probably seen most often in this class and ask you to reflect once again on the important decisions that this chart contains. More even important than a tender package and the contract that comes from it are making sure that the decisions you make at each of the 4 columns on this chart reflect the project that you want to carry out. And that will lead you through this kind of causal chain to the request for documents that's best suited to your project. From there, as we've seen, it's really about completing a template and making sure that you have all of the required information to give potential bidders the best chance at putting a great bid forward. So make sure when you're answering each of these questions that you properly understand what path it's leading you down. I do want to take a special moment, though, to think about column 2 of that previous chart, types of contracts. This is what's going to manage the fiscal relationship between yourself, the owner, and the contractor. And while I think the instinct can often be here to think about what's going to bring us just the lowest cost project and maybe allow us to build even more housing, I want to balance that with the idea of risk and making sure that the balance between striving for a low cost project and what happens when there are cost overruns and who those cost overruns lie with, as well as the challenge of managing certain types of contracts here, are all weighed for your particular scenario. Now, there's no right answer as to which type of contract is best for every construction project. I wish there was. That would make teaching this much easier. Instead, it's about you weighing the pros and cons in your particular circumstance, understanding your risk tolerance, understanding your capacity to manage different types of contracts that will lead you to what's the right and best answer for the type of project you're carrying out. I want also to highlight the idea of awarding contracts and the 2 possible scenarios that can be used: lowest bid versus best value, and how those relate also to earlier decisions that are made in your project about the type of building project you're undertaking. And make sure you understand when you issue your tender package, if that tender package is associated with the lowest bid method, how that limits the choices that you're going to make in evaluating bids, but also provides additional transparency and fairness, versus with a best value method, how you're able to insert the values of your project into bid evaluation, despite it taking a little bit more work and creating an additional obstacle at the bid evaluation phase. So again, it's about weighing the pros and cons and understanding which method fits for your project. Now, having completed all of the course modules, what you should be left with is the ability to identify the key steps in successfully tendering and procuring your project. You should be able to explain the difference and the importance of formalized tendering and procurement processes to community leaders. You should be able to guide your community through the key definitions that will shape your tendering and procurement process. And finally, you should understand how to coordinate a tendering and procurement process and be confident in navigating the process, identifying the roles and responsibilities, and asking clarifying questions. To support your learning in this, we've prepared a glossary of key terms. We acknowledge that tendering and procurement as a legal process is full of its own kind of language, and learning that language is such an important part of navigating this process. We hope that this glossary of key terms helps you in the process that you're undertaking in your community. Use it as a cheat sheet in meetings with community leadership as well as with the rest of your project team. And if you're interested in learning more about the construction process, we do also offer a course in project management. You can enroll in that course much the same way you enrolled in this course, or follow the links in the description box. And finally, we want to say thank you for joining us on this learning journey. We hope that the tools we've offered through this tendering and procurement course support you in making successful housing projects in your community. And we wish you all the best with those projects. Thank you.